The sea holds fearsome creatures. And them.
Hey guys and girls, this is Keisha bringing you a little overview on Riot's new support champion, Nami the Tidecaller. She was designed by Riot as a support champion. Basically, they define that as any champion that can sustain off of minimal gold with engages and disengages for her teammates. Nami does fit nicely into that niche area, but as with any champion, we would be remiss if we did not also test out other options, so I will check those out as well. Her 4 abilities include a powerful knock-up and stun called Aqua Prison, the bouncing heal and damage ability Ebb and Flow, the targeted skill called Tidecaller's Blessing, which allows your lane partner to chase down targets and deal extra damage, and of course her ultimate, Tidal Wave, which is basically a gigantic knock-up and slow that can cover an entire lane in the distance between 2 towers. So let's get a bit of a closer look at each of her abilities. Her passive gives a short movement speed steroid to any allied champion that is targeted with her spells, in this case her W or E. This is useful for both chasing down and running away from champions, especially when used with her E, which slows down an enemy on hit. Her Q, called Aqua Prison, is a skill shot that throws a bubble into a small circle on the ground and knocks up enemies, stunning them for 1.25 seconds. It also does a decent amount of magic damage and scales well off of ability power. That's pretty appropriate since it is a skill shot. It does cost 65 mana at all levels, and its cooldown starts at 16 and goes down to 10 at max level. The stun does not change with each rank, only the damage. Her W, called Ebb and Flow, is a targeted ability that bounces between allied and enemy champions but does both healing and damage. It bounces 3 times, only on 3 different targets. Thus, if it is only a 1v1 situation, you will only get 1 heal bounce and 1 damage bounce. The cooldown is constant at 9 seconds, and the mana cost scales from 60 to 120 at max level. Her E, Tidecaller's Blessing, is another targeted ability, but this time only for allies. It lasts for 5 seconds, or until 3 attacks have gone off, and it grants added magic damage and slows the enemy champion for 1 second. Great for keeping enemies in a fight, it is much like Ashe's Q, except it only lasts for 3 hits and grants additional damage as well. Just like her W, the cooldown is constant at 11 seconds, and the mana cost is very gradually increased from 55 to 75 at max level. Her ult is, of course, the most interesting addition. It's called Tidal Wave, and it is a very wide, very long knock-up and slow. Think of it as a Janet Tornado, but with appropriate scaling for an ult. And add to that the fact that you will also have a powerful 3 to 5 second slow to any enemy that is caught in the wave, and you will have a powerful addition to any team fight, whether it is as an initiator or to catch those enemies that do run off. Since she was designed as a support champion, I'm choosing to focus on how she fits into the laning meta of AD carries being paired with supports. What skill you level first is going to depend on your laning partner, but I would personally level her E first almost always, just because the mana cost on it is much lower than her E and much more consistent. However, if you level your E, then you either have to count on your AD to understand the skill and thus hit enemies 3 times in 5 seconds, or put it on yourself for extra harass. But of course, that can make you vulnerable if starting with weak defensive runes or an AD that doesn't back you up. W is safer to level first because it gives you an easier and safer way to harass, as it can heal both you and your partner or hit both enemies, depending on how you use it. However, keep in mind that this spell is mana intensive, especially at low levels when laning is really sensitive. And the more ranks it has, the less often you can use it, obviously. So I tend to use it sparingly and keep the rank low during lane phase, for that reason alone. Your Q should only be used to initiate fights or stop ganks, but really not for harassing as the damage is low and the CD is high. Your ult has such a long range that you can sit in the edge of the bottom bush and start it and manage to hit the 2 enemies at their tower. So use the fog of war, that stuff the enemy champions can't see you in, to your advantage. It can be used as a fantastic initiator or a way to clean up stragglers. Compared to other supports, Nami is closer to the standard Janna start. Same mana, same health essentially, but with the same movement speed as Lulu, which starts at 330. Put all this together and you have a support that you can build with runes and masteries to be aggressive, or you can stay safe and allow your AD to do most of the harassing. She is designed to be flexible and a good partner with most AD carries, though any AD with a type of slow will pair well with her. for example, Ashe or Varus. Since not a lot of people like playing support, generally speaking, they will inevitably put her mid or top or even try out jungling with her. I did test her out as full mage mid, and I feel that she is weaker than most mids, at least in a 1v1 situation. However, she can easily hold her own. Laning with her is much more dependent on landing her Q, however, so do be aware of that. She will always shine the most when there's a second person around to capitalize on her abilities. She will be extremely dominant in team fights, even if the team spreads out to avoid them all getting stunned by her Q. Her ult will effectively put soft CCs on each and every one in one foul swoop. If you want to guarantee that you're going to hit a couple people with your Q, I would ult first and then Q while they're being knocked up. It's a guaranteed 1.25 second stun, although you do kind of minimize the slow that they get. It's just up to you. As far as items go, as with any support, a lot of her items will, of course, be aura-based, such as Shurelia's and Aegis. But as you all know, I do tend to buy Magi's in my supports just to give them a little bit more power, while also saving the gold for more support items and wards. In general, her kit is all about slowing down champions to allow others to finish them off, so any items that assist this would be beneficial. Think Rylai's. She's not particularly weak defensively, so you won't have to overcompensate in the early levels with runes or masteries, at least not any more than you would for any other support, obviously. So there's your brief overview of Nami the Tidecaller. All in all, a very exciting addition to League of Legends, especially for support players like me. Much love to Riot.
You're in over your head.